Now, every industry has stupid people. Those stupid people might be your regular employee, might be your supervisors, might be your managers, might be your guards, might be your representatives, might be your corporate people. That's all fine and dandy unless the stupid people are making decisions that might get you killed. Alright, so why do I matter on this? Or what opinion do I have on this? I've spent several years in armored car. I went up through the ranks there a little bit, started as a guard, or actually started as just a driver, went to a courier, went to a crew leader, then I moved over to the vault, and then into the supervisory position. Over those years, I was involved in multiple incidents, some of them involving various levels of use of force, sometimes just hands-on, sometimes deployment of other tools, to include the firearm. The thing is you got a few things to consider there. You got your state-mandated training that you have to abide by. They tell you all the rules, and that's what's going to give you your licensing. You have to abide by those things. It's kind of a non-negotiable. You also have state and federal law that obviously they're kind of in the same category. You have to follow those as well. The real problem comes in whenever it comes to your company, it's international companies, whatever the case is. They don't want to get sued, right? They don't want to make the wrong call. They're just naturally risk adverse, which, hey, sure, fine and dandy. But when you work in the security industry, especially cash logistics industry, risk comes to you. It's going to find you. The problem is we have cowards who move into managerial positions, leadership positions, or representative positions, who don't want to make a decision. Now, one of the worst things you can do in any situation is not make any decision at all. Making the wrong decision is also bad too, but no decision at all is just as horrible. So, example of this, whenever your companies tell you, oh, just give up the money, right? Okay, yeah, don't get me wrong, your life isn't worth more than that money, okay? But the thing is once that is a known standard by the people who are going to rob you, they know that if they get the jump, they get that element of surprise, they're going to win. They know the expectation. So just for some statistics, these are based off FBI statistics and some third-party statistics, mainly from, say, Loomis and Brinks, who released some of their statistics as well. Of all the armored car robberies that happen, only about 50% of them actually result in the guard fighting. So that means 50% of the time they're just giving up. Now, what precedent does that say? If we just lay down the gun and give up immediately, well, okay, you're going to be known as the company that has weak-spirited guards. And it's not necessarily that the guard doesn't want to fight. His life is at risk. He doesn't know if he's going to make it through the incident. Because what does your company say? They say, okay, just give them the money. Fine. Yeah, maybe that's the right answer. But let me give you an alternative. What I can tell you, for one particular stint of time, after our security company that I was with at the time, after we got involved in one of our incidents and returned fire, and also having other incidences where things didn't quite escalate to a robbery, but our guards showed that they were ready and willing to be violent, we had no successful robberies for a very long stint of time. You want to be a hard target? Good. Be a hard target. There are two different ways of looking at this. You have soft and hard targets. Soft is where you don't look obvious. This is where you're going to drive a plain vehicle. You're going to wear soft clothes. You're not going to look like an obvious threat. And your main deterrence is that you don't appear to be important, right? You're living a little bit of a gray man theory. The alternative to that is being a hard target. This is where you are running overt. You have a very large vehicle. You are wearing body armor. You have big guns. You're very aware. And anybody that challenges you, you should be able to challenge them. The problem is companies and their willingness to not want to get involved in things and willingness to manage liability, they tell you you're going to look like a hard target, but you're going to act like a soft target. Those are not two things that work very well together at all. So let's go into some statistics here. These are mostly based off FBI data, and again, some of them are from Loomis and Briggs as well. 25 to 35 armored car robberies per year. That's not substantial. Let me reword that. That is substantial. Theoretically, it should be zero. But these numbers are going up as well. Houston, last I heard, is the armored car robbery capital of the world, too. Maybe incorrect on that data. It is a little bit older, but that was the last I heard. Of those 25 to 35 armored car robberies in a year, 50% of the guards actually return fire or fight back, give some resistance. Now, when that happens, the robbery that is, not necessarily the fighting back, but when that happens, 10 to 25% of the robberies result in the guards being injured. Okay? 10 to 25%. If you are that guard that's going to get robbed, you are somewhere between 1 in 10 to 1 in 4 chances of getting hurt. Annually, there are 1 to 3 guards that get killed as well in the line of duty. That doesn't account for injuries, that's just death outright. Now, one of the other statistics I want to bring to your attention. In an active shooter event, this is more for you static guards, in an active shooter event, when armed security or off-duty law enforcement officers are present, 90% of those active shooter events are stopped by the security personnel involved. What is that going to say? It's like, okay, well, if no one is there to intervene, it's just going to happen. It's just going to continue to go on until law enforcement get there and stop it. Those usually last between 4 to 8 minutes or so. They usually end in a by the shooter. Not always, though, right? But when a guard is present, it ends in about 3 to 5 minutes. So we're saving somewhere between 4 to 6 minutes or so that active threat is out there killing and harming people. So, using that statistic, guards present to stop a threat has a significantly higher likelihood of ending the threat faster. Let's use that same statistic in the armored car world. If you're willing to fight back, you're more than likely going to win the fight. If you're not necessarily going to win the fight, you're definitely going to deter that threat from hitting you, your partner, and your company again. Because you are the company, you are the guard that are willing to fight back. So let's go into some basic threat deterrences. If you're a sloppy piece of shit guard that doesn't know how to put your uniform together, you just look like garbage, or hold on to a bag of cookies and drinking a soda while you're moving in and out, you're going to get hit. Don't get me wrong, I love me some cookies, and God knows you get the hookup at some of the restaurants and you get that nice food. It's not a reason for you or your partner to get hit, all right? If you don't look like you're about it, you're going to get targeted. And that is one of the statistically trackable trends whenever it comes to targeting. Criminals have in general always targeted individuals who appear to be weaker or disoriented or unaware of their environment. There are certain factors that can play into that, but I can promise you, if you as the guard are not aware of your surroundings, you are a higher likelihood to get hit. Now, on the leadership side of this, you have a responsibility. If you are a supervisor of these guards, if you are a manager of these guards, if you are some corporate leader or some union representative, you have a responsibility to all of those other guards on your team to hold that standard, to find training that is accurate and available. Training is incredibly important. If you go by the state-mandated minimum training, you're giving your guards a disservice. Take, for example, in Texas. The range qualification for Texas armed guards does not even involve drawing from the holster or reloading. Drawing from the holster is going to be a requirement whenever your life is in danger. And you know what else? Most injuries on the range, I don't want to say most, I haven't checked this in a minute. A large amount of the injuries on the range are related to holster work, reinserting the weapon to the holster or drawing from the holster. That's when people usually are going to shoot themselves. If we don't train that, especially as a mandate that this guard is good to go, people are going to get hurt, man. And if you're in a position in your company to make those decisions, make those training requirements, and you don't, you're partially responsible for that. Okay. I've been fortunate enough to work with some companies over the years who incentivize additional training and who will go out of their way to fund additional training, and that is awesome. It is awesome. Training is one of the number one differentiators between a professional and an amateur, more or less. It's part of the reason why I say U.S. military forces are so good. It's because we get crazy in-depth training. Now, don't get me wrong, service members, I know y'all don't have a great time on the range. It's very mundane and boring and someone's yelling in your ear. Or some of your training can be irritating. But that is better training than just about every other country in the world. So that's something to remember. Training goes a huge, long way, and it's going to build confidence in your guards and capability, especially when done by a qualified professional. It's something to certainly have and be aware of. So where I want to go into this is there have been certain things I've experienced over the years, in armored cars specifically, that are just completely misunderstood, untested, and ill-trained. For example, ATMs are one of the most dangerous things an armored car crew can do. And if you're doing it alone, you need to outright just fucking not.
And deputies tell us this is not a random holdup. These crooks knew exactly what they were doing. A surprise attack happening in a matter of seconds. According to Bexar County deputies, 3 masked men wearing hoodies ambushed an armored truck employee, put a long gun in his face, and demanded he hand over the money in the ATM.
The employee was kneeling down, attending to the machine, stocking the machine up, when these suspects just approached him from behind, literally catching him off guard.
ATMs are incredibly dangerous. And there were some theories at the time. There was a specific individual that had some leverage amongst the new hires that would tell these guards that they need to bend over at an ATM instead of taking a knee. If you've never seen inside of an ATM, there's a lot of complex machinery. There's a lot of moving parts. And they're not easy things to work. But this person's perspective was bending over is better than taking a knee. Okay? Now, I know my opinion right away, but before I went and tested it, I didn't want to shoot him down immediately. But here's what I know. There's a reason in military, infantry specifically, takes a knee whenever they're at a certain position for so long. Because it allows you to look left and right. Something else that works quite well whenever your head is at a level plane to your environment, your vision is very horizontal. You can see further left and right than you can up and down. So if I take a knee, I can see all the way around me, as opposed to if I'm bending over, I can't see behind me. Your situational awareness is thrown off. Not only is your situational awareness thrown off, but some people, like myself, get a little bit of a blood rush that goes to your head, and that's going to impede your hearing and your eyesight and your ability to just detect things. So overall, if you can't detect the threat, what use is it to do this? Let me explain. You can't draw your gun and begin responding to the threat until you notice that there is a threat to begin with. And if you're in a position that disables or severely hinders your ability to detect that threat, do you think you're going to be making it through that situation? No, probably not. So, just to be sure though, went to the range and tested this. And when we went to the range and tested this, we found exactly that. The time that it took, the time differential between taking a knee and bending over, was not substantial. It was about a quarter second to a tenth of a second longer if you're bending over. However, what came the substantial hindrance was identifying the threat. Again, if you're bending over, you now have to reorient your head in a direction that you don't do every day to identify where this threat is, isolate it, prepare, and engage that threat. Again, if you can't identify the threat, it doesn't matter if one position is better or not. You're already being taken advantage of. So yeah, during this testing, we found that it was just a little bit slower, but the main hindrance was just the identity of the threat to begin with. So this is where it comes into play, right? Leadership. If you know that this is a method being taught, you have a responsibility to your guards to tell them, no, don't do that. If you as a guard are being taught something like this, you need to have the integrity to stand up and say, no, I'm not doing that stupid shit. Likewise, if your company is telling you don't block both ATMs with a truck because it inconveniences the customer, tough fucking shit, dude. They pay us for security services. They're not doing it themselves. You are the security professional. Block both of those ATMs and get to work. Your highest threat level is whenever you're working that ATM. Let me riddle something for you here, because this isn't an unknown situation. Let's say you park next to your ATM, you got the one on the other side completely open for the public to use because you are a caring and considerate courier. Someone pulls up to that machine and they start working it. Maybe it's grandma this time, maybe it's not. How long does it take for someone on the opposite side of that vehicle to step out with a rifle and punch it into your face?
Don't do it. 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 Don't move.
Not very long. And not only is it not very long, but you're at a severe disadvantage because this individual already has his weapon ready. He's already made the decision that he is going to rob you. And he is already prepared. Can you comprehend that situation and draw your weapon and accurately engage without jeopardizing everybody else around? No, they've already got the drop on you. You've already lost. And you lost because your company set you up for that loss. So, whenever you're blocking those ATMs, block them both off. You need to have your driver very aware. They can't be on their phone screwing around during these moments. They need to be looking out for you until you're back in that vehicle. Your higher risk areas when you're on an armored truck are not only at a specific machine, but it's whenever you are entering or exiting your vehicle. The reason is because these are consistent variables. Regardless what path you take to the back of a store, you're always going to go through that same back door, and you're always going to go to your truck. So the bad guy doesn't need to meet you somewhere in the middle. He just needs to be at your truck or at that back door in that stop. And if he is able to get that surprise and speed and violence of action, it doesn't matter. You've already lost the fight. Now, can you fight? Sure. But because you lack the awareness and the capability, and you wholeheartedly believed in your company policy of, I'm going to be completely alone on this truck and unload this ATM, you've kind of accepted your own fate. From personal experience, guards have been shot and killed following company policy. One of the main reasons I became an instructor is because of some of the more dangerous habits that companies were creating. As an example, some companies have fully instituted solo crews. And their main defense to this is, well, we have cameras all over the truck to act as a deterrence. The camera doesn't stop the bad guy. It doesn't identify the bad guy and tell the guard where they are. What that camera does is just generate a snuff film. When that guard gets killed, they just get shot in the back of the neck, just above their plate by an AR. Your camera didn't stop that threat. They didn't keep the money, and that guard may or may not be with you anymore because of the company's decision to save some money. So you as a guard, you need to understand your policies. You need to abide by them. You did sign that you were going to do them. But understand the difference of staying alive and looking out for yourself and a company just trying to save money. It is your responsibility and duty as a worker to speak up when something is unjust. And it is your leadership's responsibility to have your back when you are at risk. Your safety is the number one priority above all else. If your leadership lacks the spine and integrity to make those decisions to look out for your life, you do not need to work for them. They are the wrong person to work for. Now, it's important to note, you do work in a dangerous environment. There's a certain amount of this isn't safe that you just have to accept. However, the safety that can be controlled by your company and their policies needs to be kept in check. Yeah, so when it comes to staying alive on these things, get trained, be aware of your surroundings, make sure that you're watching out for your partner. There have been so many cases that people would have just outright died if they didn't have their partner with them. And if you are that solo guy out there, do not service certain things if you're not getting the warm and fuzzies. Your intuition is there for a reason. If you're just getting something weird, listen to your intuition. It's been there for millions of years of evolution. It probably knows what, is going on more than you do right away. With that said, just stress to everyone, your leadership is the primary responsibility. And if they are making a little bit of extra money because they're in charge of things, they need to have that spine and integrity to stand up for their guards and be willing to stand there side by side with them at these high-risk stops, or make the changes necessary to make sure that their people are safe. Because if something happens to you as a guard, your leadership is just as responsible as the rest of that company. There's no way out of that. They need to make their decisions to look out for you.